We now continue our weekly land report segment in partnership with the American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers. We're bringing you timely updates on land use and value throughout the country with top rural property professionals. President-elect Tony Toso joins us now from California for more on this. Tony, thank you so much for being here. Now, a lot of people think of the Midwest and High Plains as land that is most suited to cattle, but California, big cattle country. Talk about how your state contributes to the national beef cycle.
Sure, you bet. Thanks for having me this morning. So, of California's 100 million acres, cattle producers have control or influence over about 38 million of those acres. So we have a pretty significant influence out here. There's about 665,000 beef cows in California, putting us at about 16th in the national scale of things, and we're about 5th largest for total cattle. So that includes dairy cattle as well. But our main contribution is our fall calving season out here. We contribute to the beef cycle by putting those good fall calves into the feedlots, and that's kind of how we do things out here.
Well, I know it is beautiful out there. Your ranch, from what I understand, middle of California, not far from where that famous old Western Big Valley was set. So paint us a picture of your property out there.
Well, the video you just showed was our ranch. So we are in the old gold rush town of Hornitos. And we have oak woodlands, the dry native pastures. Of course, right there, you're looking at a picture of us from the spring, a little bit earlier in the year. But oak woodlands, rock outcroppings, that type of thing. We run from about 200 to 3,500 foot elevation where our ranch is located at. And kind of a neat factoid about where we're at in Hornitos, this is where Ghirardelli chocolate originally got started. So back in 1856, Domenico Ghirardelli started his businesses in Hornitos and then eventually moved to San Francisco. But we've got great pasture conditions. We've got a lot of water in the ponds, very different from where we were last year. So we've truly had some blessings in the ability to have some feed and be able to keep moving this year.
Yeah, I said that is good news, and we love good news. It looks gorgeous out there, and obviously some famous property. I know California has the most diversity when it comes to crops. With the state's reputation as premier crop producer, how do ranchers compete with the concept of highest and best use to remain viable in competition for land?
Sure, you bet. So we produce over 400 different crops in California, about a $50 billion farm gate and 24 million acres farmed. So there's a lot of competition for the different crops like vegetables in the Salinas Valley, or nut crops like almonds or walnuts or pistachios, and our famous vineyards. So there's a lot of competition for that land. And over time, you know, those crops have kind of taken over the valley lands, the better soils, that type of thing. So ranchers have had to utilize those less productive soils where the vegetation, rangeland type vegetations, we've moved into those areas. Not to say that there's not still cattle operations going on down in the valley floors, but that's what we've had to do to try to adapt and make things viable. We also lease ground, of course, and we also participate in California in a program called the Williamson Act, where producers can trade keeping their land in agriculture and not developing in exchange for property tax reductions. And then one of the other things we've really seen come on over the last 20 years, something like that, is the use of conservation easements. I do appraise a lot of those conservation easements out here in my duties as an ag appraiser, and we've seen a lot of ranchers utilize that for family succession planning and that type of thing, helping make those ranches stay viable out here in a area where we really have a lot of demand for land.
Yeah, what a lot of great programs in keeping that land for ag, and I love that idea of getting that tax reduction for keeping that property for agricultural use. Tony, thank you so much. Beautiful area out there. Tony Toso with the American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers. We thank him for being here. And be sure to tune in each Wednesday, 1:30 Eastern, for a weekly land report update.